Namaste, everybody. Welcome to the Beam meditation session on this Monday. There was a little story about the son of the sage Vyas. Sage Vyas or Maharshi Vyas, who actually categorize Vedas and introduced them to the people so everyone can understand them. Once upon a time, Shiva and Parvati were discussing about the spirituality. Parvati ji asked some questions and Shiva was answering those questions. A nearby branch of a tree, a parrot was just sitting there. And that parrot heard everything what Shiva told to Parvati. And after a while, the parrot died. And the story goes that the parrot was conceived through Vedvyasa. And then when the wife of Vedvyas was 9 months pregnant, but delivery did not happen. Sage Vyas realized that this soul is different, and he requested the soul to come out in the world. But his son, that parrot, inside the womb of his mother, said no. He would not come out because if he came out, if he were born into this world, the Maya or the illusion or the Prakriti or the nature will capture him. And he would be attached to this world, which he did not want to. So quite a time passed by and still there was no delivery. So at the end, Sage Vyas said, look, you are harassing your mother. Just come out and I will actually advise you what to do. So for the sake of his mother, that parrot, whose name was now Shukadev. Shukadev was the son of Sage Vyas. So he came out and he was born on this earth. But the moment he was born, he started running. Vedvyasa chased him, but the Shukadev, because he knew all about spirituality and he was a very lifted spirit, he ran fast and disappeared. So Vyas told him, if you want to stay detached from the illusion, from Maya, if you want to realize yourself, then go to the King Janak and be his disciple and ask him to teach you about the spirituality. So Shukdev laughed and he said, okay, but King Janak is king. He is a household person. And he is in between all these luxuries, the kingdom, the army, wives, children, wealth. And asking me to go to him for realization. Vyasa insisted, believe me, son, you go there. So Shukdev went there, but he was a child, and child or children were not allowed into the assembly. So the guards actually stopped him, and Shukadeva then requested the guards that you go to King Janak. My father Vedvyasa sent me here, and I want to see the King Janak. So Janak whispered something into his guards' ears, and those guards came back with a bowl full of water and gave it to him. God says, the king has asked you to hold this bowl, which is full of water, and you need to go to the king, but not a single droplet should fall from this bowl. If there is any droppage, then we will behead you. Now Shukdev was holding that bowl of water, and those two guards were actually guiding him towards the king. So after a few minutes, he approached the king, King Janak. He was very careful. He walked very slowly. He was entirely focused on that bowl of water. And then King Janak asked him, what is your question? I gave you the answer of your question. So all other people sitting in the assembly, they were puzzled. So what was the question and what was the answer? Shukdev said that I wanted to ask the king that his father sent him here to Janak to learn something, to learn spirituality. My question was, how could a king sitting in the middle of all these luxuries and protected by his army and enjoying all the worldly, materialistic things, would know about anything of spirituality? Okay, so what was the answer? Then King Janak said, he asked Sukdev, when you were approaching me, did you see any dancers around you? Shukdev said, no. Did you notice how many warriors or generals or army chief were sitting next to you? He said, no. Did you actually see the golden pillars of this assembly hall? Shukdev said, no. I was only focused on this bowl of water because there was a threat there. And that was the condition. So I did not know anything about your dancers, anything about your army chiefs, anything about your golden pillars, nothing whatsoever. My attention was entirely focused on this bowl of water. Janak said, likewise, I am in the midst of every single luxuries of the world. I am the king. But I am entirely focused on myself. And that is the gist of spirituality. After that, Shukdev went back to his father, and his father taught him the Bhagavatam, and then Shukdev started the devotion of God. Sometimes people would say that to meditate, to realize ourselves, one has to go to the mountains, into the caves, and one should actually make themselves aloof from the world. If you look at the principles of the philosophies, whether Eastern philosophies or Western philosophies, and if you go in depth, thinking about the essence of those philosophies or the ideas, there's only one idea there. Stay in the moment, not into the past, not in the future, but just stay in the particular present moment. Janak was always present in every single moment. Otherwise, it is not possible to focus on yourself. Either you will go into past or you will think about future. Take the principle of karma. It simply says that all the happenings in your life are oblige your destiny. What does it mean? If you are worrying about your future, you must not. If you actually trying to go over your past again and again, you must not. Just stay in the present. Because you cannot change the past, and the future does not arrive as future. Future always arrives as the present. So why worry? Or why go over to the past and you would say, had I done this way or that way, if and then is past. You cannot change it. So principle of karma says same thing. Stay in the moment, because whatever is going to happen will happen. So don't worry about that. Whatever had happened has gone by. You can't change it. So stay in the present. Stay in that particular moment. If you think about the principles of Upanishads or Eastern philosophies as such, they are based on the wholeness. Om Purnamidam. This is absolute or absolutely fulfilled. That is absolute. If you take out absolute from the absolute, the remaining is also the absolute. If you add absolute into the absolute, the sum is also the absolute. So there is nothing in the future, there is nothing in the past. It is as it is. The total, the whole, the absolute. If you think about the principle of Buddha, he says same thing but different ways. Sarvam shunyam shunyam. All this is void. There's nothing to actually go over. There's nothing to worry about. When you are living every moment, you stay in the present. Don't go into the past, not into the future. You always go into the future with some plans, or especially with some anxiety, with worries. What would happen tomorrow or after an hour? And even if somebody is atheist, same principle applies there. Because atheist does not believe in karma. They do not believe in any kind of philosophy, any kind of sadhana. any kind of attainment. They simply believe the entire human body or the human existence or all this existence has happened because of the accident. And you will also die because of an accident. And once you die, there is nothing there. So they also believe that do not worry about the future. Whatever had happened, just enjoy your life. Every single philosophy would actually revolve around this sentence: stay in the moment. One does not have to renounce anything. Buddha renounced the world because he never knew about the death, he never knew about the pain and misery and old age. So he renounced the world. But then again, he came back to the people. He came back to the society. He stayed there, in between the society, between the people. He preached them. Whatever we do, at the end of the day, the idea is to focus on the present moment. Now, some people will ask that, what is the gist of spirituality? Only one sentence: stay in the moment. Whatever we do, if you are walking, then we should be actually walking and not thinking about anything, just observing our steps. If we are eating, then only feeling the taste of that food and the movement of your hands and mouth while you are eating. No thoughts at all. If you are drinking, if you are reading, if you are sleeping, if you are sitting, whatever we are doing, we need to be in the present. But we can always, and I am pretty sure that everybody must have figured out that when they are doing anything, either they are dwelling in the past for the good memories or bad memories, or they are thinking about their future, they are worrying about their future, or they are planning about their future. But we are not in the moment. And when we actually are not in the moment, then we are in the past or we are in the future, but not in the moment. So we are out of the focus. And once somebody is out of focus, it simply means that he would be beheaded. Now, beheading doesn't mean about killing, but you are living in two identities. One, which is ourselves in the present, and the other, which is our thinking, our mind, either in the past or in the future. So the story of Shukadeva and Janak simply teaches us and conveys the message to stay focused in the current moment. Thank you very much. Anyone would like to share their wisdom, please do so by unmuting yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vijay ji. This is Swarna.
Namaste.
Namaste, sir. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful wisdom. Wow. It's I heard about Shuka Maharshi and Vyasa Maharshi, but I never heard this story. Beautiful story, and it teaches us. It's went into deep, deep of my mind. So, thank you very much, sir. So, yeah, you brought so many good points, staying in the present moment. And even we heard so many times being in the present is the only thing we need to do. But you brought today, like if something is worrying you, that means you are deviating from your present. So simply bring back yourself and be in the present. So if there is something bothering us, do we need to go back and learn any lessons, something like that, or in order to motivate us to do something, do we need to do anything, sir, or like just be in the present moment and just keep going?
There are two things. So one of, for example, like there is a saying in English that history teaches us only one thing, that it does not teach us anything.
Mhm.
Because if you look into history, and everyone knows that fighting is not good, wars are always bad, and in the
Mhm.
war, only death wins. So we know everything about jealousy, war, fighting, not behaving properly, but no one actually learns the lesson from the history because saying says that it teaches us nothing. Now, when you say about the spirituality or for upliftment of ourselves, that shall we go back or shall we visit the past and figure out what we did wrong or not properly and learn some lessons from the past. And again, we are missing the point of staying in the present. Whatever had happened, had happened. And by trying to living the past again, nothing would change. Because again, we are living in the past and missing the present moment. And when we say about, second point is when we say about the mistakes, all the mistakes or the good and bad things are relative. They are not absolute. In some culture, something is not good, and in other culture, that would be good. In some time, something would be bad, and after a while, that bad would become good. So, going over and over again about the incidents happen in the past, it will not help anybody. And we are just actually uh, missing the present moment. So that's why I say do not dwell in the past. And again, in the future, we sometimes people sometimes worry about the future, what will happen tomorrow, or what will I do tomorrow. But let the tomorrow come as today, as the present moment, and definitely it will give you the answer. You will know exactly how to behave, what to do. So just stay in the present is the idea, not in the past and not in the future, and rectifying the mistakes is a waste of time, I would say. Whatever had happened, and when we are in the present moment, whether you do someone does some mistake or someone does something good or bad, that does not matter because the idea is to be in the present. I know that sometimes people would say this is a very uh, drastic as such, but if a butcher is killing an animal and if he is fully concentrated on his task, on his work, on his duty as such, or on his job, he is thoroughly 100% focused, then that focus appears as realization. Right and wrong, good and bad, mistakes or no mistakes, They are worldly matters. They always change. I always say that if you kill somebody on the border, then you will be rewarded with some kind of medal from the army. And if I kill somebody in the city or in the country, then I would be punished. Killings are same. The loss of human life is there at the border, inside the country. Both are same. But we have actually categorized them separately. So in spirituality, like just Janak was the king and he was enjoying or he was in the midst of all luxuries, but still he was detached. So to stay detached, or in other words, detachment is the word from the Shrama Parampara or the Buddhist tradition or the Mahavir tradition. And to stay in fully in the moment is the gist of the Upanishadic tradition. Both are same. So Upanishad says everything is absolute Purna. So you must not be detached yourself from anything. And Buddha says everything is Shunya. So what's the point of be attached with anything? But both are same. So I would say that there is no point going back into the past to rectify, which we cannot. We cannot rectify the mistakes done in the past, but learning the lessons, if we stay in the present, that is the lesson.
Thank you so much, sir. My humble pranams to you. Beautiful, beautiful answer. You really touched my gut. Yeah, I was contemplating whatever you're saying, what it's like, you really said. We say that you go back and learn from the past, but you don't have knowledge right now, then you will not learn no matter how much back you go. So present moment, what knowledge you have, what you have to act, what you not, everything will tell you right now. Whether so you cannot rectify, you cannot go back. So, and even same thing with the future. No matter how many goals you have, you may create a million goals or perfect goals, but if you are not in the present, you will not meet those goals. So beautiful, beautiful, sir. Thank you so much. So present moment answers everything. The forgiveness, the compassion, the love, everything is in the present moment. Thank you so much, sir. Perfect, perfect. Awesome answer. Yeah, really, that was the best answer that anybody could answer. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
My humble pranams again.
Thank you, Vijay. Like Swarnaji said, yes, great wisdom sharing, and the meditation was blissful. Um, I I am like more curious to learn more about Janak Maharaj, because I remember Ashtavakra Gita too. There was a story about Janak Maharaj, and again now, so there seems to be so much wisdom in his story. So I would definitely like to learn more. And I was also like, keenly listening for the lesson as you were telling the story. And I heard of Sukhamuni, but I haven't heard of this story. So what you're saying, of course, the power of now, the moment is, we keep hearing this again and again and again, and every day we are reinforced about the importance of the moment. So thank you again for that. But the lesson that was taught by Janak Maharaj to Sukhmuni is, like, you said, when he was observing the bowl full of water and totally focused in that is, he said that was spirituality, because he was totally focused within himself. So is that being in the moment, like you are within yourself? And of course he's not seeing anything outside, yes, so that is being detached from other things. That's what I'm wondering. And again, being in the moment is, everything happens in the moment, so we are in the moment. But at the same time, we are saying, like Buddha says, there's nothing. So everything, nothing, it's all coming together for me. But could you explain a little more on that?
Yes, first of all, I would say about the Buddha, say about the Buddhism or Buddha, because Tathagat Siddhartha or Tathagat Buddha, uh, he realized himself through the uh, pain and misery and the death factors of the world, of human beings or of the living beings, which he did not know before.
Mhm.
He was kept absolutely alienated to this death and old age and pain and miseries. So for him, to start with, it was a shock
Mhm.
because he never knew about that. And because it was a shock for him to learn about this death and old age and misery and pain, he renounced the world. After realizing he was under that tree, Bodhi tree. So when he realized, then the first sentence came out. Some people say uh, he said that, "Oh, this is it. What's the point of renouncing?" But then he remained as a sannyasi or as a shraman, as a sadhu. That was his choice of life.
Mhm.
Now, when we say that, when he says everything is sarvam shunyam, shunyam, everything is void, or sarvam dukkham, dukkham, everything is painful, or he says, when he says everything is kshanikam, kshanikam, everything is very transient, nothing lasts for long. So that is what he was saying, or people are seeing in the world. We actually see those things, that there is a pain, there is a joy, then everybody dies at some point, and everybody gets old at some point. So whatever we do ends into ashes, dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. That's what Bible says.
Mhm.
That's the one perspective of looking at the world. Now, other perspective was from the Upanishad, and they said everything is filled with the ultimate Ishavasyam idam sarvam. All this existence we see, we feel, we actually experience is filled with the ultimate consciousness and beyond. And that is why there is nothing to renounce. There is nothing to actually shun, because everything is conscious. Everything is the Purna or the absolute or the ultimate. You can say God. People, those who believe in devotions, they say God. God is everywhere, for example. So everything is God. So what would you actually denounce? What would you actually shun? Nothing. So how do you embrace? By renouncing. How do you behave? By renouncing or by embracing? There are two ways.
Yeah.
Either you actually renounce everything, or you embrace everything. But renouncing is very limited to very limited people. Most of the people are in the world, and uh, they want to live their life. So embracing whatever we are doing is the best way. So when Shukdev was focused on that bowl of water,
Mhm.
so every single step he was taking, he was there as himself, because otherwise he feared that the water would just fall out.
Mhm.
So every single step he was taking, he was there in that particular moment, step by step, moment by moment. Nothing in the past, nothing in the future, just on that particular step. So when we remain in this particular moment, what happens? You do not renounce anything. It's all acceptance. All acceptance is the gist of spirituality. Because otherwise, we will be dividing the existence. I will accept those things which I feel, which I think they are good. And I will reject those things which I feel are bad. So we are dividing the existence. And while we are dividing the existence, we are also dividing ourselves into good and bad. So the best and simplest idea is to accept everything as it is. So there would be no judgment. There would be no hatred. There would be no love because you accept everything. There would be no dilemmas, no dualities, because you're accepting everything as they are, as it is. And by doing that, what we are doing, we are actually merging, we are connecting, we are uniting with the universe or the existence as one, as whole. So if we stay in the moment, and we see somebody, for example, if I don't like anybody becoming angry, and if someone becomes angry, then say, for example, I don't like it. I just hate that person, for example. But when I see somebody with anger, I only have to observe. That's it. And somebody is angry, period. The next moment, say anger goes on, the next stage, still somebody is angry. And after a while, that person will calm down. Now somebody is now calmed down. We are not taking his anger from the past into the present and into the future. But what we do normally, so after 1 hour, I will talk to my friend and I would say that person was angry. What's the point? Now that anger has passed, still we are actually judging him as an angry person. So we are living in the past. But when we live in the present, there will be no judgment. We accept everything as it is. And that is the attachment to everything, every moment. So when you are loving someone, when you like someone, when you are actually, I just give example about the mother feeding the baby. Now the new mother and new baby, if you observe that the baby is absolutely engrossed in breastfeeding, and mother is also absolutely engrossed in that baby. At that moment, no mother is thinking that this baby will grow up tomorrow and this baby will provide me for my old age. No one thinks like that. So they are attached, engrossed in that particular moment. And when we are in that particular moment engrossed, then there will be no thoughts. We will be observer only, without thinking anything, just the observer. And when one is an observer or a witness, then he is or she is on the path of spirituality. In any moment, that person will be realized. I think.
Thank you. Thank you, Vijay. You explained in so much of depth, and it makes much more sense how, step by step, he was in the moment. And again, when we are in the moment, then we are observing and not attached. So thank you. Thank you very much, Vijay, for your patience. Thank you.
Okay. Now, shall we conclude the session? So tomorrow morning, that would be a normal meditation, I think. And thank you very much for bearing me. Namaste, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Namaste again. Good night. Bye-bye.